and you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmett Morrissey. I'm a senior certification officer with the City of Chicago. Today's PowerPoint presentation is on the professional declaration of eligibility. What is professional declaration of eligibility? It is an innovative way of allowing qualified attorneys and CPAs to review, verify, and attest that an applicant meets the requirements to become certified with the City of Chicago for the following certification types: minority-owned business enterprise and/or women-owned business enterprise, the WBE program. The guidelines of the program for MBE and WBE eligibility. The regulations are the same that govern the minority and women-owned business enterprise, veteran-owned business enterprises, and business enterprise owned or operated by people with disabilities or non-construction firms. So the professional declaration of eligibility will only apply to non-construction certification. Who is eligible to go through the professional declaration of eligibility? You would be applying for, you are seeking MBE and/or WBE certification. The certification NAICS codes you are requesting are non-construction and non-supplier distributor. Your firm has not been denied certification within the past 3 years. Your firm has not withdrawn an application for certification in the past 3 years. And your firm has not graduated from certification during the past 3 years. To be eligible to go through the professional eligibility requirements, so you must hire an attorney or CPA that is licensed in the state of Illinois. The professional has to have been licensed for at least 3 years. The professional has not been convicted or found liable of fraud and/or making false statements. And the professional has no ownership interest in the firm, employment, or familial relationship. What should be done by the professional? The professional will complete a full review of the electronic application and all documentations completed and provided by the applicants. The professional will perform an on-site interview with the business owner. The professional will prepare a summary report that is detailed, and the professional must attest that they are a licensed CPA or licensed attorney in the state of Illinois. On the city side, once the professional completes all documentation and the city receives it, DPS, the Department of Procurement Services, will expedite the review process of the application. Upon completion of the review, the department may grant certification. The department may send a preliminary notice of a denial or notify the professional that additional documentation is required. Incomplete applications are subject to review under the standard certification process. So in the case of an attorney or CPA doesn't do a complete and thorough process, it will go back to the original certification process reviewed by a certification officer in the City of Chicago. Once approved, certification will remain in effect for as long as the firm continues to meet the program eligibility requirements and is contingent upon submission of an annual no change affidavit each year. Once a decision is issued following the initial review, the file is subject to a full scope audit to ensure compliance with the program regulations. Firms have an affirmative duty to notify the city of any change in ownership or control of the business within 10 business days of a change. The do's and don'ts of the city. The city does not certify, recommend, or endorse any particular CPA or attorney to prepare applications for those seeking certification with the City of Chicago. Documentation that an applicant must provide. They must complete a full electronic application, provide all the documentation required with an application. A professional declaration of eligibility is required, a site visit report is required, and the certification summary is required by the professional. Electronic applications and document lists are available on the Department of Procurement Certification and Compliance System at chicago.mwdbe.com. Documentation that will be provided, that you will provide, includes contact information. The applicant must indicate the type of certification they are seeking, whether it's MBE, WB1, or both. Ownership information, employee information, facility information, such as these, financial documentation, which include personal and corporate tax returns. Licenses are required if the business is required to have a license in the city of Chicago and or the state of Illinois. Expertise of the qualifying owner individual. Expertise includes resumes, documentation for professional associations, listing of equipment, and leases to prove that it's a local business. Contract information. This is required to show that you have background in the field of the NAS code you're asking for. It includes contracts that are pending, bids you submitted, any completed contracts in the past 2 years, and invoices and purchase orders for the type of services that you provide. Documentation for this includes an attachment 1, which is the individual statement of ownership. Attachment 4 is the affidavit of social disadvantage. A full scope audit can be completed. It's going to be a full review of the certification and the firm. You must provide 100% of the files that are requested. And if there's any issue, if there's any error, fraud in the application, the firm is subject to decertification. Penalties. This is if the city of Chicago identifies an error in the application. This is technical errors, which are not intentional. Errors that don't affect the certification outcome. The first strike by the professional will be on notice. The second strike will be additional training reported by the professional. And the third strike is they will lose the eligibility to continue working on PDEs. Technical errors, which are intentional. If it is determined that there's an intentional error to obtain a certification, the professional will lose the ability to complete certification files in the future. Substantive errors, which are not intentional, errors that do not affect the outcome. The first strike will require adopting compliance integrity agreement, which is CIA. The second strike, the professionals will be barred from the program. Their full scope audit will be completed, and then a proposed decertification will be sent to the applicant. The applicant has the right to appeal the findings. The substantive error, which is intentional, if it is determined there is an intentional error to obtain certification, the firm will lose the ability to apply for certification. Additional penalties for the professional. If the city of Chicago notices fraud involved in the professional, you will be referred to the Inspector General's office in the city of Chicago. You may be referred to the State of Illinois Licensing Board for attorneys and or CPAs. You can be referred to the Corporation Counsel for the City of Chicago under the city's false statement ordinance. How to get help? We are here available to answer any questions that an applicant or professional has in the certification here. If you want to call us at any time, you can give us a call at 212-744-4900. You want to select option 1 to speak to a certification officer. You're also welcome to come to the City Hall in our offices at 806 and request to speak to a certification officer. Pitfalls to avoid. Incomplete applications, site visits, and or summary recommendations and points. It could be incomplete because of lack of detail or a lack of specifics. Incorrect type of application submitted. Occasionally people are confused about what they are applying for. So it's important to understand what program you are applying for. Failure to timely respond to requests for information. Once an application is submitted by the professional, if any additional information is required on the certification officer side, we'll send a request to the certification system's website, and it's important to respond and provide any additional information. And if you don't respond to the request for information, we generally send the request to the applicant or the professional. If you do not submit that, you can be the application will be closed. Another thing to avoid is there's a $250 application fee for MBE and WB certification applications. It's paid through the Department of Finance. Oftentimes, occasionally, applicants will submit an application but not follow through with payment. The payment's not provided, the application will be closed. Thank you for the opportunity to view this presentation. My name is Emmett Morrissey, and I thank you for taking the time today. Thank you.